Alright, what up y'all, it's Way Breezy here and I'm back with another bang. In today's video, we have a clash upon titans. YouTube versus Twitch, and which one should you pursue if you are interested in becoming a content creator? I've been making content online, specifically YouTube and Twitch, for years now, and obviously I found a lot more success on the YouTube side of things, but I have a lot of experience on Twitch, and I'm just going to share my opinion on which one I think is better for which type of content you're going to make, and some of the positives and negatives for each platform. So let's get into it. Oh, and right before we get into it, at the end of this video, I'm going to give you guys kind of like a little blueprint and my opinion on how you could grow the fastest online, whether you choose YouTube or Twitch, because I'm not supposed to say it till the end of the video, but the best idea is to do both of these two. So I wanted to start with the Twitch side of things because I feel like it's a lot more popular in today's day and age. You know, becoming a Twitch streamer is like all the rave, like streamers this, streamers that, blah, 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 streamer. And I wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons of being a Twitch streamer or pursuing your content creation on Twitch. One of the biggest pros, I think, which YouTube will never be able to touch Twitch on, is the value of real-time interactions. Like being able to have a chat on the side of your screen and to talk with people and affect people's lives and interact with people and make people laugh, and the spontaneousness of Twitch in real time is insane. It's unfathomable. You can create a way stronger connection and community feel. I'm sure if you're tapped in with internet culture, you've heard of like parasocials, and you don't really get that with YouTubers. It's very hard to be a parasocial with a YouTuber because you're not seeing every little millisecond of their life. You're more so seeing snippets of their life, you know, whereas on Twitch, you have a very strong connection. Some of these people, you know, they're watching these streamers sleep, they're watching the way they talk to their parents, they're watching the way they talk to their friends, and although that could be seen as a negative, in my opinion, it's also a really cool positive because you can really get that nice community driven connection, you know. There's also a way lower skill requirement and like production requirement on the Twitch side of things. You don't need to edit, and you can go live with minimal setup. Like right now, if I wanted to go live, I don't have to edit. There's not really a skill, you know, I don't have to make thumbnails. I could really just go live and do my thing, like click the go live button. I don't really need any external skills or production in order to have a good time. You know, it's a lot easier to grow on Twitch if you're just naturally funny and entertaining. You know, we're on YouTube, it might be a lot harder if you don't have a nice title and a nice thumbnail. You know, the package of YouTube, I guess I should say, is a lot harder to get someone to bite on. Like on YouTube, the content can be amazing, but if there isn't really nice editing and a very nice thumbnail and a clickable title, nobody will see that diamond in the rough. You know, whereas on Twitch, if they're gonna find you, they're gonna find you. And we're gonna get into discoverability in a second here. Another thing, you know, if you're trying to turn this into specifically a side hustle or the financial side of things, obviously YouTubers and Twitch streamers have the potential to make a lot of money. The monetization on Twitch is far easier and way easier to achieve than YouTube. On YouTube, you need 4,000 watch hours, public watch hours, and 1,000 subscribers in the last 365 days in order to get monetized. And I know I haven't been very consistent on this channel, but I do have 3,000 subscribers. I get a decent amount of views, you know, sometimes hundreds of views, sometimes thousands of views, and I'm still only at 600 watch hours in the last 365 days. So I have a long way to go before I can even make pennies on, which, you know, can kind of fuck up some people's motivation and all that if you're in it for the wrong reasons. But, you know, if the side hustle aspect is nice for you, monetization, you can almost get it on day one on Twitch. You know, it's 50 followers and a couple of other really small requirements, and you can reach affiliate, which gets you the opportunity to get subs and bits and ad revenue, and that can kind of help motivate somebody to keep going. And also, this is a very small point because it's kind of like a nothing burger for both sides, because if you want to make collabs on both sides, you could do that, but collabs are way easier on Twitch. It's way easier to pop into somebody's chat and be like, hey, let's stream together. You know, if it's someone else that has a similar view count than you, more often than not, they're going to be down to do that type of collab. Where on YouTube, you're left like in people's comment sections, and there's kind of like a disconnect there. So collaborations are a lot easier on Twitch. Now, I feel like it would only be right if we talked about the cons to Twitch, because there are some really big ones. The discoverability on Twitch is close to zero. So unless you're already known, it's very, very tough for new viewers to find you, because Twitch doesn't have an algorithm like YouTube. When I upload this video, especially if you're the one that clicked it, it popped up on some type of page and you saw it. That doesn't really happen on Twitch. It really doesn't, especially if you have like 1 or 2 viewers and you're just starting out. It's borderline impossible. So if you want to be an actual big Twitch streamer and blow up in 2025, 2026, you cannot just stream. You cannot. It's impossible. So if you're trying to do just one or the other, you know, you don't want to make TikToks, you don't want to stream and do YouTube, I would suggest right now, before even starting up your Twitch, do not be a Twitch streamer. Grow your other platforms first. It's much easier to get a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube and have them migrate over to Twitch, or have tens of thousands of followers on TikTok from doing little skits and mini vlogs and then getting those people to convert to Twitch, than to just go live on Twitch and try to grow a Twitch audience. There is almost no discoverability. So if you just want to stream, don't quit and start doing YouTube and TikTok, because getting those people over to Twitch is going to be way easier for you. And the thing that kind of sucks with Twitch is it's live only content. You know, if someone misses your stream, they might never see it ever again. And this kind of ties into the last point, with discoverability. Unless you're clipping your shit and putting it on TikTok, which is a whole nother wormhole and a lot more work in general. Unless you were doing that, once you end that stream, it's done. That content's done. Whoever was there, they were there, and that's it, if it's not repurposed. So Twitch can be a lot more work in the grand scheme of things. You know, if you're somebody that has maybe 15 hours a week on the side and you want to stream, you know, 2-3 hours a day, unless you can also allocate time to clipping that up and putting it on YouTube and putting it on TikTok, it's not worth it. It's genuinely just not worth it. You know, unless you're doing it for fun, then, you know, you probably wouldn't be watching this video anyway. This is probably for someone who wants to make this a career or at least a profitable hobby. This is a point for both sides, but there's a lot of burnout potential on Twitch. It requires long streaming hours to grow, and that could be like very draining. So I kind of just wanted to mention that you could definitely burn out on Twitch. Like I was saying, the parasocialness and just feeling like you have to keep up every single day. It's much easier to fall off on Twitch than YouTube. And Twitch is also just a very volatile platform. If Twitch makes a policy change, your main source of income or your community could be impacted like instantly. You know, like if Twitch bans a certain subcategory or if Twitch adds a policy that you've been technically violating before they added it, it could kind of turn your shit all around, you know, and this happens to a lot of creators. That's why a lot of people leave to Kick. You don't really hear people leaving YouTube. Nobody leaves YouTube to go make their main source of income on a different platform. That is only a problem that you will have to face on Twitch. So I kind of just wanted to mention that. Now, YouTube, my bread and butter. I fucking love this platform. I'm trying my best not to be biased here. I'm really trying my best not to be biased, but now I'm going to talk about some of the pros and some of the cons of being a YouTube content creator if you wanted to do one or the other. Now, the first thing I do want to say is that on YouTube, you could do it on its own. Obviously, it is way better for your growth to be making TikToks and YouTube shorts that are getting people to come to your longer form videos, but YouTube has the golden gun of having a really solid algorithm. It has a real algorithm. So if you package your video correctly, then it's a good video with a good thumbnail and a good title, and you study YouTube, because you really do have to study it to learn, you can make it on YouTube just on its own. You know, if you got 15-20 hours a week, which is basically what I do. I have about 15 to 20 hours a week that I work on this, and it's kind of like my part-time job on the side. And I'm not worried about, you know, having to go live on Twitch and missing days. You know, I kind of just stick to an upload schedule, and a lot of it is behind the scenes. You know, it's a lot of private work where I'm just editing, and it's very much relaxing to me. YouTube also, specifically in its comparison to basically every other platform for content creation, you can have evergreen content, which is basically a good video that can keep pulling in views and revenue for years. Like, I have a couple videos that I made in like 2022, 2023, and obviously my channel's on a way smaller scale, but I still have videos that get like 20 to 30 views a month. And if you scale that up, you know, that could be like thousands of views on a video that was made 2 years ago, which it could result in like $20 a month extra for a video that was made years ago. That's where YouTube kind of has like that passive income feel to it, you know? Everything you put up there is there forever, and anyone could go back into your archive and catch up on all your shit. You can kind of create your storyline across all your videos. You know, you don't have to worry about being live and keeping up. Obviously, YouTube's discoverability absolutely shits on Twitch. The algorithm actively pushes your videos to new audiences, and that is like your big ticket to blowing up. YouTube also, if you would like to do it this way, which would completely just debunk Twitch as its own platform, you can have flexible content formats on YouTube. You can make your shorts if you want to make short form content. You can make your long form content, which is what you guys are watching right now. You can live stream on YouTube. YouTube has its own live streaming, which used to be a lot worse. It's honestly gotten a lot better. I actually enjoy YouTube live streaming, and it hasn't really caught on to the public too much, but you could stream here too if you really wanted to keep it all under one roof. And you could also do community posts here. YouTube also, depending on your niche, if you're making gaming videos, this probably doesn't really apply to you, but depending on your niche, YouTube also has a higher ad revenue potential compared to Twitch. So I guess that's something to keep in mind. Once again, if you're doing it just for money, you're probably going to fail anyway, but you know, it's something to keep in mind. YouTube ad revenue is very, very strong. Now, my absolute favorite, number one reason for choosing YouTube over Twitch, nothing else matters as much as this for me, and that is the fact that I have creative freedom over what I do on this channel. I can edit however I want. I can script these videos however I want. I could polish them up. I could title them however I want. I could have creative power over the thumbnail that I choose to use, and I just feel like I own myself on YouTube. I feel like I completely own myself. On Twitch, it almost feels like I have to follow like a trend, you know, or an algorithm, or I have to like catch a wave or something like that. Where on YouTube, I feel like I could do my own thing and still carve out my own little niche. I have complete power over the videos I don't want to make, and obviously some will perform worse than others if it's a, you know, weird idea that nobody's interested in. But I feel like on YouTube, you have way much more of a gamble of doing what you want to do. You know, I feel like on Twitch, there's a lot more clones of people and all that. You know, you kind of got to follow like the strategies, and it's still prevalent on YouTube, you know, like the Mr. Beastified YouTube where everyone makes videos like Mr. Beast. But there's so many niches where you can make your own shit happen and blow up off of it. Like, you can become huge in different niches. Like, how big can a cooking streamer really be on Twitch? If you're not doing the IRL shit now, it's kind of like which is another point to bring up on the positive on YouTube compared to Twitch. If you don't want to do the IRL shit or the gaming shit, you're gonna have a hard time, you know. Whereas on YouTube, if you want to make documentary style videos, videos. Like there's niches for that. Like there's an algorithm for that. Absolutely. You know, I feel like you can make more on YouTube. You know, you just have more of a plethora of video ideas and avenues that you go down, which is nice. I personally love that the most. I feel like I have the most creative freedom and I'm not shackled down on Twitch, or on YouTube, which is awesome. And there's a lot of scalable growth. You know, like videos are working while you're asleep, you know, like you're getting views, you're waking up to some views, maybe some comments. There's a lot of constructive criticism that can happen overnight where, you know, when you're live, you have to hear it when you're live, and that's your only chance to hear it when you're live. So that's another thing that is a positive to YouTube in my opinion. But obviously there are some cons to YouTube, and I'm going to get into that. For the most part, this isn't always true. You know, there's outliers, like somebody like FaZe Jev is one that comes to mind, but for the most part, YouTube is most likely going to require a higher production demand. People on YouTube want to see more than just a webcam, like on Twitch. You know, Twitch is very wing it, down to earth, like all you need is a webcam and you can make it. On YouTube, it's not really like that. You know, there's a lot of filming and editing and thumbnail creation, and that takes more time and it's more of a skill. So if you don't want to develop learning algorithms, it's kind of a weird, like learning the algorithms, learning what thumbnail attracts people, learning that this title didn't get clicks, but this one does. If you're not really down to learn all of that and, you know, put in the extra time that it takes to make a quality video, I would maybe swing towards Twitch, you know? I would maybe swing towards Twitch. And obviously YouTube is less community driven compared to Twitch. You know, comments are very nice and getting comments are nice. You can build connections with people and hear amazing, beautiful stories, just the same as Twitch, but it's not live, you know, like you're not really affecting people live. You can never say someone's name out loud and have them hear it, you know, or make them feel seen. So I would just say there's a slower community connection. And then obviously monetization takes way longer on YouTube, but we already mentioned that when we were talking about the pros for Twitch. You're also kind of dependent on an algorithm. If you do make a banger ass 10 out of 10 video, but that's all you did was make the video, if YouTube doesn't recommend your shit and pick it up, you know, maybe for whatever reason it was just shy of getting picked up by the algorithm, even though it's a hidden gem, it's just hard to grow organically. You know, like you kind of just have to stay down till you're up. But that's kind of the same for Twitch. So that's just a con in general with content creation. And this is also kind of the same for Twitch, but I feel like it matters a lot more on YouTube. Every niche is extremely competitive and somebody is doing what you're doing, and a lot of topics are oversaturated. So standing out takes a lot of effort. So, you know, that's one thing to think about. If you think you're just going to do what your favorite content creator is going to do, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to cut it. You know, you got to be different. You got to do something better than him, or be funnier than him, or be better than him at the game, or be smarter than him, or talk better than him. Whoever the people that inspire you to make your videos are, you need to be better than them, because it's very, very hyper competitive. And on YouTube, a lot of people are coming there. It's the same as Twitch, where a lot of people are coming there to watch their guy. They're coming there to watch their guy. And although there's discoverability to help you, you're going to be competing. So yeah, there's some positives and negatives. Overall, I believe that if you are going to do one or the other, it is way more beneficial to just make YouTube videos. I think you can learn a lot about the online world, and you could develop a lot of skills that could help you in your Twitch career later on, or even with TikToks and all that. You know, like me learning video editing is a genuine skill that I could potentially get paid with. I don't really edit these videos how I would normally edit my videos, but you know, there's a lot of videos on this channel that have taken 60 to 70 hours of editing, and I fucking went balls to the wall, you know, and learning that skill is really cool. Like, it's a cool thing to have under your belt. So I think if you like the creative structure around YouTube videos and being able to edit and make something that's really yours, like a piece of content to be proud of, I think YouTube is really the way to go. But if you also just want to have more fun and make authentic content on Twitch, I think Twitch is also a beautiful platform to grow your social media presence. It just takes a lot of help from outside platforms. The middle ground strategy, I would say, is to use Twitch for live streaming, live interactions, and building a core community, and YouTube to grow your reach and keep your content alive even after the stream. You know, whether that's VODs, clips, highlights, whatever it is. Many creators and all the successful ones use both to thrive. You have to do them in tandem now. That's kind of what it is. It's 2025. That's a new culture. My strategy would be to form a live stream with YouTube and TikTok in mind. When you go live, don't just hit your live button and figure it out and just talk. Don't do that. When you go live, have some talking points, have maybe a game plan, you know, have some type of loose script when you go live. Even though it's not staged, have things that you want to talk about. And keep in your mind, when you are live streaming, keep in mind that this Twitch stream is going to turn into a YouTube video. You know, I'm going to repurpose this Twitch stream into a YouTube video for more discoverability. And then I'm going to turn that YouTube video into TikToks that are going to get people to go to the YouTube video. And then those YouTube people are going to get to Twitch to watch my live stream. That's how it works. It's a lot more than you think. So if you're new to content creation, have fun with it. You know, do your thing, do whatever fits your style well. You know, everybody is different, but also understand that at first you're not going to get many views, and it's kind of a bitch. It sucks. It honestly really sucks at the beginning, and it's not very fun. You need to get over that hump of looking at views and just create the shit you want to create. And it's a lot more work than you think. You know, a lot of people think these Twitch streamers and YouTubers are just sitting on their ass doing nothing all day, but there is really a formula that you have to follow, and it's very time consuming if you want consistent growth. So yeah, I'm more of a YouTube guy, but I love Twitch as well, and I think they work best in tandem. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. video. If you did, make sure you drop a like and let me know what you're playing, or if you learned anything from this video. You know, let me know what you think about this video. You know, people read the comments, and maybe I missed a couple things that you guys have noticed in your journey, and I would love to learn from you guys as well. So, you know, all the comments, all the likes, all the views are greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, it's been Way Breezy, and I will see you guys when I see you guys. Later.